One of the things I picked up from your response was that, and you have said this before, that attention is of extreme importance. And what I observe in the way my mind and psychology seems to work currently, is that the conscious and willing effort to place my attention and to knowing that attention is important and really applying what I understand under attention to something that is being said or conveyed or that is happening, in ways that I really don't understand. Something gets in the way that this effort of attention is not translated into accessible memory, or is not translated into a continued awareness that is necessary at the time that what was paid attention to needs to be translated and implemented into reality. And I'm a bit lost to understand what is happening.
The right understanding. All it requires is the right understanding. For example, if you are walking through a slightly overgrown part in the dunes to the beach at dusk, and you are walking somewhere where you know there are no crawlies, no creatures, then your walk has a different feel to it when you know that there are some creatures that you can accidentally trod on. When you walk in places where you know that there can be something that can simply be painful to encounter, or could even be not that at all safe, then suddenly your whole demeanor changes. You still walk, you want to have an evening swim, but you walk differently. You watch where you put every foot, right? It's attention. You work with a very sharp knife. If you work with a very blunt, like those cheap kitchen knives, it's okay. You can just talk to someone and just cut the cucumber. But if you use a good German make knife that costs at least 100 euros plus, let alone katana, then you better watch every move you make. And you know it because you have a very, very sharp object in your hand. Your move will be very different. Your attention will be very different. See? It's joy to work with a tool like this, but a very different quality of attention there. Many other examples can be given. but it comes from understanding of what you're dealing with. You need to know the territory you're walking on. You need to know what you're using to cut. If you're working with blunt knife, it doesn't matter because it most likely will fail to cut you. You know, if you hold a beautiful weapon in your hand, cold weapon. If you hold that katana, if you hold that Japanese sword, you're less likely going to play with it as with the bamboo stick. Because if it falls down, it can chop off the toes in a split of a second. Our attention sharpens with the necessity. It's as simple as that. You see? Attention sharpens with the necessity. So, it's this, what you need to do is simply to understand what is what. Then it will become clearer for you. And what you're speaking of course, is the dilemma of every one who temporarily put herself or himself in the role of a student. And that likewise extends to anyone who is being placed in the role of a guide. You see? And it's every teacher's story that they talk but not being heard. Or they say something and they think that there is receptivity. But it's somehow heard but not really made any impact. And we're not talking about discourses here, I hope it is clear as well. So it is helpful sometimes, it's good, you know, like in Mallorca there are no crawlies, apparently no poisonous snake. You just walk everywhere like this. If you, whatever you want, you just walk anywhere. Rocks, this, tall grass, short grass, sand, you know, climb. You just know that there are no creatures that can harm. And that relaxes their attention completely. In Central America it wasn't like that at all. Every step you make, there could be something. And that creates a different kind of walk, a different kind of attention. It's not that you're suddenly paranoid about every step you make, because you have to live and enjoy. You are not there in exile. In any case, even if it's exile, it's a self kind of self-created one. So one ought to enjoy it. But you cannot just like zoom through this part or zoom through that part. You know, just open the bush. It's like you walk, you still walk, but attention is different. Working with a teacher, it's a little bit like that. It's working with the sharp equipment. You need to have that sharpness as well. If you want that to be a successful relationship, it's that all it requires. It's not that it requires fear of handling it. You see? It's not because it's out of fear. If we are like, волков боятся в лес не ходить, in Russia they say. There's a proverb about courage. If you're afraid of wolves, don't go to the forest. It's a very old Russian proverb. Волков боятся, в лес не ходить. Afraid of wolves, don't even go to the forest. Another interesting thing is that it just happened that wolves in a symbology stand for a teacher. If you're afraid of wolves, don't go to the forest. But it's not that to be afraid to do something wrong or not delivering. It's understanding, you see? Understanding. Even when my son is dying, you know, our kid is 6 years old and he is dying, now turned 7, to see some of my knives, because you know I like knives, like some of them from Uzbekistan, like many years ago I bought them and acquired them. He died, they're not on display because they're dangerous objects. So when they both come, him and his sister come all over the place, they're just like, I want to see it, you know, like, me first, this. Okay, kids, now, sit down, you sit here, you sit here. These are knives, very sharp. You want to hold it? I'm going to give it to you. Can you be fully aware what you're holding in your hand? You cannot just, you either don't give it to the kid, but that's also harmful, because if the kid is my kid, then he would like knives. It's genetic. So I have to make sure he knows how to handle it. At his age, I was handling knives, daggers, and you know. So here, son, that's how you hold it. Okay. So just remember that. You see. Let that serve you more than anything else. It's the quality of attention comes not from trying to be attentive. Remember what you're working with. Remember what you put yourself here for. Then all this sluggishness will go out. Remember that it's like that. You make every step, you feel your way along to the shore of that ocean. Because it is for that purpose that it is like that. So that every step you make takes you there. Otherwise, you know, here, there, you know, when it's like, you can walk, cannot walk, you decide to walk, you decide, I don't want to walk, I want to walk this way, I want to walk that way. It's a very healthy, very good experience when we pay attention, when we step, when we walk. Not just because we can step on something that can harm us, but also because there could be something beautiful, tender, gentle. There can be some light that we can trod on as well. So that adds to the metaphor. Just walk with awareness of where you're placing your feet. Try when you come out of this room. Then you would not then blame your lack of attention and go into the mental department and memory. It has nothing to do with memory. Do you see the difference between which part relates to memory and which part relates to that sharpness of attention? And you're not alone. It's the dilemma of that relationship. It is applicable to absolutely everyone. It's just you happen to ask that question. Everyone can ask that question who considers themselves to be a student. My student or anyone else's student, it's applicable to every studentship. It's a part of being a disciple. Unfortunately, or fortunately, or what have you, there is this still attitude that runs ahead of us, is that we are often at the mercy of what we prefer at a given moment in time. Right now, I'm so really in to receive a lovely darshan. I really can sit with the teacher and really get all this stuff now. I'm so attentive, I want to get it all. And now I have an opportunity, there's a chance, we're having morning breakfast together. Brilliant. You know, like... At other times, I can't be bothered. I'm not in the mood, and I'm in, like, please, I can do it other time. I don't have the time now. I know it's important, I know. This is where our attention, essentially, when we don't understand. It's the purpose and the role of the teacher also to constantly catch us off guard. It comes with the territory, it comes with the job. In many teaching modalities, but in this one is more so. So, therefore, the example with handling something which is like a tool which can, if mishandled, can be painful because of our mishandling. You cannot show disrespect to this item. It's not like, you're not going to throw this dagger like this as a bamboo stick. Just not going to work. It's like, catch it. Quality of attention comes from understanding, that's all. And that understanding needs to be made once and for all. Once and for all. And then you can tread easily. It becomes that once you walked a few times, then you understand that, yes, here I walk like this. Here I walk like this. I don't just like run my way through this or like bulldoze myself through this. This question directly relates to that vigilance. Vigilance then will inevitably translate into other walks of life, into other aspects of life. The teacher, in these terms, only that what really, really creates the possibility to alter something about ourselves. No one else can do it for us. Because this is the last domain. This is why never confuse teacher with a shrink, psychologist, philosopher, and so forth. They're two different, they're not two, but they're totally different animals. Teacher can eat you. They're like wolves, or they can at least eat your horse, as they do in fairy tales. You know that fairy tale with Firebird, remember? They eat the horse, but then, once the horse is eaten, then the teacher will carry you on her or his back. You don't need a horse. You don't need a white horse. White horses don't go there. So just that.